The crystalline spires of the Zephyrian capital caught the light of three suns, casting rainbow fractals across the royal courtyard where Queen Lireleth waited. Her 6 arms trembled, a sign of deep emotional disturbance that her courtiers pretended not to notice. The human delegation was late, and in the 15 cycles since Princess Kaelin's disappearance, the Queen had learned to expect disappointment from every lead, every hope, every whispered rumor of her daughter's survival. Commander Marcus Chun stepped through the quantum gate with careful, measured steps. Behind him walked a figure that made the Queen's primary heart skip a young Zephyrian female, her bioluminescent skin patterns dim with malnutrition and trauma, but unmistakably royal bloodline. The girl's wings, once surely magnificent like her mother's, hung torn and partially healed at awkward angles. "Your Majesty," Chun said, offering the peculiar human bow he'd learned during his diplomatic training. "I believe this belongs to you." The Queen's translator device struggled with the emotion in her voice as she whispered, "Kaelin?" The young princess looked up with eyes that had seen too much suffering. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. "Mother?" What followed was not the elegant reunion of Hollywood dramas, but something raw and desperate. The Queen's wings unfurled in a display of pure joy while Kaelin collapsed, finally allowing herself to believe she was truly safe. The court watched in respectful silence as their sovereign held her daughter, both of them weeping tears that crystallized in the cool palace air. Hours later, in the Queen's private chambers, the full story emerged. Chun sat across from the royal family, his weathered hands clasped respectfully in his lap. "We found her on Kepler 442b, he began. "The slave market's there. They don't ask questions about where their merchandise comes from." The Queen's bioluminescence flared angry red. Slavery had been abolished in civilized space for centuries, but the Outer Rim territories operated by different rules. "The interesting thing," Chin continued, "was that she wasn't for sale. The Corvin syndicate running the operation kept her as personal entertainment for their clients. High-value prisoners from important families make excellent leverage, even if the family doesn't know they're alive." Kaelin spoke up, her voice stronger now. "The human found me in the isolation cells. I thought he was just another client, but he started cutting the chains instead of—" She shuddered. Chun's expression remained carefully neutral. "My ship was conducting routine anti-piracy patrols in that sector. Intelligence suggested unusual Corvin activity, but we expected weapon smuggling, maybe some narcotics. We didn't expect a slave operation. How did you know who she was?" "The Queen asked. "I didn't initially, but she spoke High Zephyrian. Not many non-royals learn that dialect. When she mentioned her mother's name, double quotes, Chun shrugged. Seemed worth investigating. What Chun didn't mention was the 18-hour firefight that followed his decision to investigate. He didn't describe how his crew of 12 held off 3 Corvin destroyers while he personally fought through the facility's defenses to reach the isolation cells. He certainly didn't mention the 47 Corvin guards and slavers who would never threaten anyone again. The Queen's intelligence networks had filled in those details within hours of the human ship's arrival. "Commander," the Queen said carefully, "my sources tell me you lost 2 crew members in the extraction." Chun's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Lieutenant Rodriguez and Ensign Kim. Good people. They knew the risks. And you destroyed an entire Corvin facility, 3 ships, and disrupted a major criminal enterprise. For one person you'd never met. Your Majesty, with respect, we didn't do it for one person. We did it because it was right." Chun looked directly at her, unflinching. "Humans have a saying, evil triumphs when good people do nothing. We don't do nothing." The Queen studied this strange human who had returned her greatest treasure without asking for reward or recognition. In the 15 cycles since Kellen's disappearance, dozens of species had offered assistance. Most wanted trade concessions, or military alliances in return. The few who actually searched usually gave up within months, declaring the task impossible. Only the humans, with their ridiculous stubbornness and their bizarre moral compasses, had succeeded. "What can I offer you, Commander? Name your price." Chun stood, straightening his uniform. "There is no price, Your Majesty. Just ... Maybe keep an eye on those outer rim territories." There were other cells in that facility, not all empty. As the human prepared to leave, Kalen called out, "Commander, in the facility, you said something to me. In your language, what did it mean?" "Chun." Pause. "I told you, nobody gets left behind. It's something we tell each other to remember what we stand for." The Queen watched her daughter really smile for the first time since her return. "Nobody gets left behind," Kalen repeated slowly, testing the alien words. "Nobody gets left behind," the Queen echoed, and somehow the human phrase sounded right in High Zephyrian too. Later that evening, as Chun's ship prepared to depart, the Queen stood on her highest balcony with Kalen beside her. The human vessel was a crude thing by Zephyrian standards, all hard angles and practical surfaces, built for function rather than beauty. But as it lifted into the star-filled sky, both mother and daughter found it the most beautiful sight in the galaxy. "Why do you think they do it, Mother? Risk so much for strangers?" The Queen pondered this. She'd been asking herself the same question since the humans had first made contact 50 cycles ago. They were a young species, barely out of their home system, yet they consistently acted in ways that defy conventional wisdom about self-interest and survival. "I think," she said finally, "they believe that everyone deserves to come home." In the distance, the human ship disappeared into quantum space, carrying its crew toward whatever impossible task they would attempt next. And in the Zephyrian royal palace, a mother held her daughter close and whispered a human phrase that had become her new favorite prayer: "Nobody gets left behind." The humans, it seemed, had a gift for making the impossible merely difficult. And the galaxy, whether it knew it or not, was a little brighter for their stubborn, beautiful refusal to accept that some things simply couldn't be done.